Hi everybody, it's Alisa Marie here. Hi my sweet lifers. Today I'm hanging out with my friend Aric. We're doing another Martini Talks and we're excited to have you watch. And Aric, thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Aric is really special to me. He's a veteran. Y'all know how I feel about my veterans, and he's got a really cool business I want him to share with you guys today about security and combining medicine. And people need to be aware of the fact that there's a lot of different components when you have an emergency situation, that people need to be trained and understand how to save your life and also get you out of a bad circumstance. So share with me a little bit about your company and what you do and who you're serving.
Okay, no, thanks, Alisa. So the company we started back in 2019, so we really want to concentrate on the medical and the security aspects of what's going on. As we know that Houston is continuing to have a rise in crime and things like that. We know constitutional carry and those things are coming up. And so what we really want to do is educate the public, educate the businesses that are out there. You know, what is it that we need to do to ensure that ourselves, our family, and our businesses are actually taken care of. That's really what we are all about. So that everything from stop the bleed courses to training individuals on the Texas security statutes and getting level 2, 3, and 4, and also just helping people understand how to utilize their weapon systems that they have, pistols, shotguns, and things like that, and just what you should have in and around your car as far as like medical and stuff like that.
And so one of the things that you share with me, which is very interesting, is that a lot of people don't realize that when you call an ambulance to come see you, a lot of times they may not have the ability to do everything. We were talking a little bit about that, or when you're in a big crowd and maybe there's a problem, like there's been a shooting, they block off the ambulances. There's a lot of different sort of, it doesn't quite fit together right. Share with me
So
that.
true. So take for instance the incident that happened in Vegas, and I went there when I used to work for the State Department to do the after actions review. We call it an AAR. One of the problems that goes on is because the police need to separate out what's going on, they need to cordon things off, your roads, certain things like that may get closed off. So what ended up happening was ambulances can't get to the normal hospitals that they normally can get to. And so now they're using tertiary and secondary locations that are not really designed for that type of trauma. So when you're in a mass casualty situation, usually, you know, a lot of people like to carry their weapons and they're concerned about their safety in that aspect.
Right.
But what you're forgetting is when bullets are flying, when fragments are flying, if there's an explosion, there's a lot of debris and things like that. You need to understand how to stop the bleed, how to treat just those immediate things that are going on. The ambulance services, while they are on the way, they may be stopped. They may be hesitant because of if they're in a situation where it could cause more harm. Some of those medics are not tactical medical responders like you would have with your SWAT teams and things like that.
Right, because they're not wearing the bulletproof vests. They're not really
Correct.
prepared to go into that environment because they can get killed themselves.
Right. So it's really incumbent upon ourselves to really take care of us and our friends and people around us. So if you just had a little bit of knowledge, you know, we hear it all the time where someone says something as silly as you can use a tampon to stop a bullet. Well, you go ahead and stick that tampon in a piece of chicken and tell me if it really stops the bleeding from that. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Or they say like, I'll take my belt off and I can use it. Those are great adjunct things, but if you don't know the basics of how to really do the medicine and stop the bleed, you're not really stopping bleeding from that type of injury in itself. And so you really need to learn. There's, you know, really small things that we can do. There's, you know, and something as insignificant as a tourniquet that would cost you $15 that you can have in your car. And so it's things like that that I design and tell people, you know, whether it's the kit that you can slide under the seat for those who are high network individuals, because you don't want something getting in the back of your limo and things like that.
Right.
And so we design things that go under seats, or it's, you know, in your glove compartment. Just having something as small as like the tourniquet that I gave you when we showed up. I just put one of those in my glove compartment, and so now I at least have something like that. So we get in a car accident, the window comes in and smashes your arm or your leg, you can reach over, grab that tourniquet, put it on until the ambulance shows up. Or it could be one of your family members in the back.
Right. So whenever we talk about travel, and you know I'm in travel, and y'all know I'm in travel, you know, is it an idea? One of the things that I always tell everybody, and I'll mention it again on this episode, is that it's always something I tell my families whenever they go in an Airbnb, to bring with them one of those portable carbon monoxide devices, because sometimes the Airbnb, not necessarily the Airbnb, I mean, not use that word Airbnb, some of the facilities or places or homes that are available are not in a network that requires a certain level of security, safety, whatever. And so it's always safe for me to just tell the family, hey, go get this, throw it in your suitcase, just plug it into the house. If you're not going to be staying in a resort, just so I have the safety of knowing I have the peace of mind of knowing that my babies, because most of the people that I've planned trips for are also my children I photograph, that they're just one level of safety. Is it your recommendation then that everyone, when they're traveling, even in their car, but also abroad or even to see grandma in another state, to carry with them a tourniquet?
I mean,
it can't hurt.
It can't hurt. It's not even just a tourniquet. I've done a couple of things where I've shown people, I usually have like this ankle little holster, and it has a tourniquet and like a bandage and some gloves and things like that in there. But it's all sorts of things. And so as we think about it, we expect that if we go to a different country and we could just go to the drugstore. Well, you don't know if they're following the same rules that we do. I'm not saying that every country is bad, but why not just take the little travel size packs or create your own little medical kit? The other things are stuff like, if you're going to travel, something happens to you or a family member, you should just go to the State Department's website and sign in on the start. Because what ends up happening is, if you call the State Department because a family member is missing, they have no idea that that person's gone. The first thing that they're going to do is say, did you sign in on the START program? So something as simple as that. So yes, signing on a START program, making sure that you have your own little medical kits with you. Nothing, nothing big. I usually just say something pocket sized. If you know that you have medications that you take, always take at least 30 days. So when you're traveling, don't think that, which hospital you're going to go to and things like that. Ambulances are going to show up. We all know that, one ambulance is not the same. And so you want to know, what's the nearest facility that you're going to take me to. I'm not saying you need to go visit it. There are people who will do that for you, but it's just good to do that in and around check of the areas that you're going to be in and make sure that you're well prepared for it. Like we always say, proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Exactly. So you've got a long history, military long history.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How many years?
So I did almost 25 years in the military. 17 of those were in Special Forces. I held MOSs of 18 Bravo, which is weapons, 18 Delta, which is medical, and also a little bit of intel, as well as a Zulu, which is an operations sergeant.
It's very cool.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Y'all know how I feel about that. I love that. And so if you were to give me kind of your ideal client, like if you were thinking about who would be really, I know you've got these kits, so I'm assuming they're available. We can put some information in the episode notes on how they can buy those kits from you. And then you've got, of course, your website. You've also got training.
Yes, ma'am.
For people who I'm assuming are both medically inclined and or just the person like me who needs to just know how to do certain things in the event that we're finding ourselves in an emergency situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Are those classes that are available one-on-one with you? Are they available online only?
So we do it all. I was, really wanting to make it so that it's 101. So some of the classes that I designed were know your operational surroundings. While it sounds militaristic, if you travel to a different country, you travel to a different state, you don't really know, how do you know if someone's actually following you? It's even for the person that's here in Houston. We've had so many incidents of people being followed home and not knowing that they were followed home. So we created a small class like that. This is for the lay person all the way up to the individual who already knows what they are doing. And so we're talking about classes where it's training for understanding your weapon system. What type of weapon system should I have if I'm going to carry a pistol? Know the laws. Understanding, do you have, certain types of cards in your pocket where if you do have to use that system, that weapon, that the police understand that you have a lawyer that is going to protect you, and now they can talk to that person instead of just walking around. Understanding how to pay attention to your vehicle. If you parked out in a larger space, or if you think someone's going to bother you and things like that, parking under lighted venues, which most people know, but how do you know if there's not someone lurking behind? Even your neighborhoods. We were just walking through our neighborhood yesterday, and I noticed how they had the bushes right next to the sidewalk. Well, that's a very bad thing, because there's an open aqueduct area, and then there's these bushes. So if you were walking back there at night, someone could hide there. And basically, so it's all those plannings. Our ideal customer would be anyone from a family office to just a small family or large businesses that just want to understand and learn truly what the security and medical implications of what they are doing and their customers are.
Okay. And so basically, we can get with you directly and then either learn from you through the classes, like you were talking about, Stop the Bleed.
Yes, ma'am.
And that although I don't know, and y'all know how I feel about blood, I don't know if I could go through that class with you. I think I'd probably not be able to go through that class with you. Although I will say this, Daddy did, whenever he was in med school, one summer, he was responsible for carrying all the, I never say it right, they're the dead people.
Cadavers.
Yeah, it was cadavers or something. I always say the wrong word. I make it say the wrong word. Anyway, so I had you say it. And he was responsible one summer for, that was his job. That's what he did. You know, he was paying, he'd gone to the military. My daddy was in the military too. Brian's was as well. And he was at Chapel Hill, and that was his job that summer, was to move those bodies into the medical, I guess, wing, where all the new guys would come in the next year, and they had their body for the year, I'm assuming. But you've got this really cool, gory, by the way, but very cool technology that allows a body to be given blood.
Yes, ma'am.
Or I'm hoping fake blood, but maybe, I hope it's fake blood.
Yes, ma'am.
For the purposes of me, it would need to be something different, maybe something a different color than blood. But anyway, to help train people in how to stop. And that one of the things that you mentioned when we were talking earlier is that people don't realize just how hard it is.
Right. So to talk about the system first, really it is, so there has always been cadaveric training, like you were speaking of with your father, and thank him for his service as well. There's always been this, but they could only do it because people were trying to use a saline or some type of solution. This new company, the ones that we are partnered with, you could keep that cadaveric tissue for up to 14 days. And what we're using is bovine blood. So the same thing that you get out of the supermarket in your steak is the same blood that we're running back through.
Okay.
It's a proprietary system that seals it back off. I call it fix-a-flat, basically. And so now it allows that blood, instead of getting into the interstitial spaces, to go through the arterial system so that we can replicate someone being reanimated, so to speak. And so with that, it allows us to do surgeries. We've done it with multiple different companies as well. We were trying to bring it to the Houston area. And so you have, medical students who may want to practice surgeries. You have EMS personnel who want to practice coming out to treat an injured person. You have SWAT members who may, need to go in and do, the unforbidden, but also they would still be able to save that life. And so we brought that to the Houston area so that we can actually do all of those things and give people the true sense of not just mannequins. We still do mannequins and things like that, but give them the true sense of what it is actually like when you see the blood, when you actually do surgeries. And some of the EMS personnel that have came through, they've never seen anything like it. I mean, how great is that to have something where if you've never truly touched a bleeding body before, this gives you the ability to do it and not practice on you, the patient, when they come to your home. And so it's things like that for the medical students, the EMS personnel.
It's a game changer, really. It's a game changer, if you think about it. I mean, because you have to be able to react in the moment. Like, you're able to do that. EMS people are able to do that. Doctors, all the people that have been trained are able to do that. But if you've never experienced it, and then all of a sudden, and especially in like a situation like a mass shooting, where you've got not one but 10 or 15 people all squirting blood everywhere, everybody's got to be able to scatter and know what to do and how to do it and fix it and whatever, and there's no way to train for that.
We can.
Now you can. Yeah, that's my point. Now you can train for that. But prior to this technology, you really couldn't.
Yeah, you could do it. Just, really, there's all the mannequins and things like that. A lot of people have started to go, really lifelike. But this would even be more advantageous in the fact that it is a human body. The anatomy is the anatomy, and you can only do so much replication, even with all the technology that we have today. And most of those mannequins will cost you a minimum of about $50,000 to $80,000.
They're not cheap.
No, ma'am.
They're not cheap. This learning stuff ain't cheap, but it's well worth it.
Yes, ma'am.
At the end of the day.
Very much so.
At the end of the day. Well, I'm so excited about hearing about everything you've got going on. I feel like there's so many different components of what you've got going. It's very much like me. You've got so many different things that you can do. You can help people figure out what their deal is with their guns. And it's my understanding that now in Texas, everybody can carry. We can walk around, carry. We don't have to do a whole lot to get carry permit. We just go carry.
Yeah, the only difference with the constitutional carry now is to make sure that, one, if there's a 51% sign, which means that establishment primarily makes their money on alcohol, you can't carry. Gotcha. I don't care if you have a license to carry or not. Pay attention to your 30-06, 30-7 signs, which basically tell you if you can openly carry or you have to have a license to carry. The license to carry is still good for those people who travel with their weapons, because in another state, just because we have constitutional carry in Texas, that is not allowed. So you would need to have that license to carry for the state to have reciprocity for, I believe, about 36, 37 states that we have the ability to with Texas licensure.
Okay. And then as far as the other stuff's concerned, with regards to the classes and with regards to providing people with information about security and just in general, everything, all of it we can find on your website.
Yes, ma'am. Everything can be found on the website. You can email me at the info@graygosolutions.com. But yes, everything is there. We're also on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram, so on and so forth, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll have everything for you guys to find Aric on the episode notes. And then, of course, I'll also do that when we do our social posts as well, so they'll be able to reach you. If they don't read it, they'll watch the video, and then they can get a hold of you that way as well.
No, I appreciate it, and I'm humbled by the experience and sitting here talking with you today. It's just been a pleasure for me.
Oh, thank you. Well, we have a lot of fun over here. I tell you,
yeah.
We really do. We get to know each other, and we have a lot of fun. We didn't drink any martinis today because it's in the middle of the day, but we had fun nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
Yeah.
We're going to have one later, though.
We will. We will. Listen, guys, I hope you found some value in this. If you did, do me a favor, like and share. Don't forget to ring the bell, and we'll see you soon on another Martini Talks. Take care.